are you just waiting for headlines to come out, or how do you kind of approach this just volatile environment that we're dealing with, especially as a day trader?
Yeah, I think it's so important to kind of have your ear to the ground essentially in this situation because there's so much going on and so much potential at any moment for really important outcomes to happen internationally and that can change the scope of our world. And I think that that has significant impact to the market, as we all know and we've experienced. And so for me as a day trader, I certainly always trade with a stop loss because I think it's so important in this day and age that the market can really do any kind of thing. And so you have to always make sure that you are trading in a way that has strong capital preservation, because it's to trade with a naked position in this situation is just a complete gambling. So I definitely would advocate for always making sure you're managing your risk, and then also just trying to get the best entries that I can because the candles are larger. Their volatility is up. The momentum of the market, it's choppy. It's coming back and forth on itself. I think it is, like you said, waiting for almost the other shoe, the bigger news to drop at any moment. And so I think that I am just kind of watching the news headlines, everything that pops up on my phone from various news sources and giving alerts. I'm reading it to make sure I know, kind of staying apprised of the situation because it's concerning for the world. And it's also, we have to be mindful of that for our accounts. So definitely something that is on my radar all the time to pay attention to and be careful with.
Yeah. Now, last week we talked about kind of changing your style of trading a little bit. Rizz, Matt, and myself, we all kind of came to the same conclusion. I'm curious, do you change your sizing, your price targets, your stop losses to kind of just deal with the volatility and the sense of what is going to happen? Or do you kind of just do the same thing because you always have your risk aversion on?
It depends on the situation. If I find that I can get a really ideal entry and it's an A+ setup, I will trade my full size in those last few weeks. But if there's any sort of uncertainty or it feels like there's hesitancy or the candles are outsized and volatility is higher, I'll trade half size easily because that risk is just too much. I mean, if you normally want to take an ES contract with an 8-point stop loss potentially, but a 5-minute candle is 12 points. I mean, there's not a safe way for me to enter that with my full position size, given my risk management and my account size. So I do scale down when the volatility is up because it puts me in a position where I'm not accepting too much risk for my account size. And so, yeah, it's definitely a factor for me that I'm always paying attention to the amount of volatility during my trading session. If I know this is my A+ setup though, and I can get an ideal entry, that is when I will make the choice in real time to trade my full size potentially. But again, I have to have the ideal entry and a reasonable risk stop loss placement opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great point, because if your stop loss is less than the size of a normal candle, you have to adjust, or else you can almost guarantee you're going to get stopped out pretty quickly. So great point.
Right.
Now, moving on to you, Coach Rizz. We talked about multiple things last week. Has anything in your mind with the political climate and the conflict going on, has anything changed? Are you still just putting your ear to the ground? Has anything specific happened that you're looking at, or what are you just looking at this week?
Well, right now, my eyes are peeled on crude oil. Crude oil is really the main indicator right now leading the charge. So, the sensitivity to the situation in the Middle East is really the driving pressure on the market overall. So, the weeks past, you probably heard me talking about Dixie and really monitoring the dollar. This week, has been a little bit different. I'm tracking crude oil just because there are some great trades out there. WTI, what is it? There's another ticker, KOS. So a few tickers outside of my normal trading, but I'm really looking at those because there's some cheap stocks in the market right now, and there's money to be made. There's blood in the water, and I'm here for it. So I guess going back to like what you were asking, Coach Becky, me myself, I'm just sizing down. My risk management is still almost really the same as what it normally is, and my profit targets never change because I'm always looking for a trend. So I'm always a trend trader. So first and foremost is looking for an opportunity to stay in my winners longer and get the heck out of my losers as fast as possible.
Yeah, now oil is just, everybody's talking about it. The swings are insane right now from news on either side. And it seems like when news comes out one way, the other side tries to alleviate the news, kind of bring it back to equilibrium. So how do you even approach a gold trade? Do you try to get in during the overnight session, or do you just wait for the same kind of setup, or how do you kind of approach that?
Really gold, I haven't been trading as of lately just because of spreads and the
volatility. I was talking about, did I say gold? I was talking about oil. I'm sorry. I meant oil.
Here's our first mess up, guys. Yeah, really, I'm basing my trades on NASDAQ off of crude oil. So, the spread is kind of wonky at times on crude oil. So to avoid that, I'm sticking with MNQ. So I'm trading that off of levels that I see that are either being broken or respected on crude oil. So, really I'm using crude oil more as a confluence on my overall
Okay.
trade strategies.
Oh, very interesting. Nice. I love that. Now, last but not least, Coach Matt, anything popped out at you since we last talked? Anything you're waiting to hear from, or how are you just kind of approaching this week in general?
So many thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many thoughts just in response to Becky and the volatility playbook, Rizz and using crude oil. First on the volatility playbook, I'm right there with Becky. I don't think this is a market to be a hero in. I don't believe that on intraday. I don't believe that on the daily chart. I don't believe that on the weekly chart. I think price tells us what to do, and price right now tells us to be cautious. And until the macro side is alleviated and we start to see double bottom, double tops, we start to see better pattern development on the ES and Q. I really think this is a moment to be cautious in. Right now, we're sitting around or near support in every single market index, whether you're talking about the Nasdaq, whether you're talking about the Dow Jones, whether you're talking about the Russell 2000, or whether you're talking about the ES as well. All of them are in some degree of 200-day moving average test here. And whenever you're going through that, patterns can certainly develop here, reversals can certainly develop here, but they're not going to develop in the face of what's going on with crude oil. And so, as long as the VIX stays above 20, as long as we're in a volatility condition, I think it's very, very important to not be a hero. I think it's very important to withstand these environments in the market. As somebody who's been around the market for a day or two, I've seen these corrections. I've seen a lot of these corrections, and navigating these corrections takes patience. And you don't want to become a victim to the market. And so it's a matter of being patient and waiting on better analysis, quite frankly, on the day or the weekly chart. So volatility playbook still plays for me. On the crude oil side of the equation, Rizz is 100% accurate. Like crude oil is an indicator right now. Far more than trading crude oil, it's understanding what's happening in crude oil and the impact it's having across the board in the market. Whether you're talking about the dollar going up, well, a lot of that is based on the petrodollar and crude oil and the safety haven of the United States dollar, or whether you're talking about the epicenter of the volatility. Well, you can look at the VIX, but crude oil kind of does the job here. And I don't think anything double bottoms. I don't think anything gives us a beautiful reversal at the top of the market until crude oil stops doing what it's doing here. And so that's been very interesting. And it's kind of dancing that $100 level. Over the weekend, we did see the United States military take out military targets out of that very important Karg Island, where 90% of oil is is done the refinery process through Karg Island. Trump stopped short of drilling the oil infrastructure, but that hasn't changed Iran's response. They're targeting oil infrastructure right now, and it would not be shocking to see Trump target the oil infrastructure out of Karg Island. I think they're holding off on that as a little bit of cherry on top to whoever they start dealing with the new leader of Iran in any type of conversations, any type of negotiations. But we're still a ways away from that. I'll tell you one thing that stands out outside of Becky and Rizz's conversation is the patterns that are dominant on the S&P 500 right now. 3 Monday sessions in a row, we've dealt with upward movements in price. 2 weeks in a row, we've dealt with downward pressure on the weekly chart. So to me, this is a very important saga to understand. The Monday morning up goes into the 9 EMA, the 9 EMA holds, and the rest of the week goes down. And so those patterns have to break. And so, when I'm looking at the market right now, and I'm not just a day trader, I'm looking at the market to find the bottom of the market so that we can start position trading as much as anything, in my opinion. But when you're looking at that, I think there's 2 levels that really, really, really stand out on the S&P 500. The first one is 6,800. That's the zone of what I call affectionately bear stop out levels, where the bears get really, really, really scared and their stop losses get hunted. Kind of like Steve likes to hunt our stop losses on the intraday side of the equation. That's kind of like bear stop out analysis. And then the second one is do we dance this 6,600 dance? We came close to it today, but that's got triple wicked over the course of the last few months. And so, do we dance some degree of double bottom at 66? Is it more like 64.50? Is it more like down around 62? But I'm looking at where can we find that double bottom? I think a lot of the story of the international geopoliticals is to be understood. As long as crude oil is above the 9 EMA on the daily chart, we're having a sensitive geopolitical conversation. As long as the ES is underneath the 9 EMA on the daily chart, we're having a sensitive geopolitical conversation. You know what has to happen. The ES has to get above the 9. Crude oil has to show a pullback. And until that happens, I think it's gloves off.
Yeah, great points all around. And I'll say, after our discussion would have been about 2 weeks ago about sizing down, less is more, only taking these A+ setups, I just set alerts on my chart. I took about 2 trades a day, and I got to tell you, my trading got much better. And then second point, back to oil, not trading related, but I filled up my car yesterday. Oof, God, did that hurt. I think it was
gonna hurt a lot more
than the time before. Oh, man, it's getting expensive. But no, great insight, and I think we'd be crazy not to talk about the political climate and how the market's doing and how we're approaching it. So great points all around. Next, we're going to go over a new feature that BluSky has rolled out in the last few weeks, and it is a new dashboard. And this tech migration has given our traders much more to work with. So we're going to do just a quick overview. I know a lot of you people watching this live have probably dealt with it before, seen the dashboard, seen some hiccups, but we have gotten almost everything under control. And I just want to do a quick overview. So if you look at the screen, Matt has the new dashboard up. Unfortunately, I don't have any stats right now because I'm not in the current evaluation. But as you can see, first of all, Matt, if you can click on the buy challenge on the left side, I want to show how easy it is to the top left. I want to show how easy it is to buy a challenge. So right now it's automatically defaulted to a 50K launch plan. That is by far our most important plan. Now I trade Tradeovate. Let's go ahead and click that, Matt. And then let's go to our coupon code on the top right, type welcome26 and click apply. And that, if you are a new, no space, if you are a new trader, this is going to give you 50%. You got to click Tradeovate on the bottom. Give us the platform. Yeah, there we go. And then if you look, goes down to $29.50 and good to go. Don't click continue because I don't want everybody to see my payment information. But if you click continue on your side, that is where you will enter your payment information. And within, what was that? Within 20 seconds, you can have, let's see it. Within 20 seconds, you can have your new account and boom, you are ready to start trading. That's how simple it is. So let's just take a look through the dashboard. We'll just do a quick overview. We can go more in depth in the Discord server. But for now, this dashboard is going to be your most important friend when you are sitting in evaluation or phase 2, because at a quick glance, you can see your balance, your equity, and on the top right is your consistency. Our launch plans do have consistency. If you go over, you don't lose the account or anything, but the profit target does increase with how much you've gone over. So keep an eye on the consistency. If you are hovering around 50%, take the rest of the day off on that account. No reason to make any more money. It just tells you exactly what it is. And then the next most important thing in the middle of the screen is your daily drawdown level and your maximum drawdown level. You need to keep your eye on these. This is where what you call blowing an account happens. So if you're getting close to this drawdown level, size down, take the better trades. Don't just take trades to be in them. So this is going to be your best friend to help you pass the evaluation and know exactly where you are at in your trading journey of that evaluation. Now, next on the left-hand side, we have trade history. This is also important if you actually want to journal and you actually want to trade properly. Trade history is going to be one of your best friends as well. All of your trades will show up here, long, short, profit, loss. You guys know the drill when you're looking at your trades. If you don't go back and look at your trades, what are you doing? Now, the most important thing for people watching this is going to be this payout button. Once you are eligible for a payout button, now as you can see, I'm not eligible because I do not have an SFA that is payout ready. But once you are eligible, that link will become clickable. It'll show you exactly how much you can withdraw. You will pick your payment method, which as we know is Rizz or Gusto. And that is where you will request your payout. And if you get it in before 11 a.m., it'll be processed that same day. And that money will hit your account quickly. Now, for the stat nerds, let's look at the My Stats page. This is one of the most comprehensive dashboards I've seen out of any prop firm I've ever used.
I love this portion, Justin.
Yeah, this is
dashboard. Just
Great.
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, this is great. Same thing with this. You can see your drawdown level, your consistency, things like that. On the top, you'll see your total P&L, your profit factor, which, as we know, a lot of us want to see our profit factor over 1. We want our winners to be bigger than our losers. And then as you can see on the right, you can see it right there. Your average winning trade, your average losing trade, profit and loss per trade, and risk to reward ratio. This is something that every trader needs to know. And if you don't know how to use that, it's great. We have a bunch of coaches that can tell you exactly how to use it. Post that screenshot. We'll analyze it for you, and we'll look at it for you and tell you exactly what you need to do. Now, if you scroll down a little bit on this page, Matt, this is where it starts to get pretty juicy on the My Stats page. Go a little bit more. So this equity, a little bit more, up, not down. A little bit more. Go to where it says equity curve. Up. A little bit higher above the calendar. There we go. You see this equity line? This is where it'll show the gains from your account. If you're profitable, you'll see your equity line grow. If you have a bad day, you'll see it go down. So this is really good to just take a step back and look over maybe the last 2-3 weeks. And if your equity line is slowly growing at a stable level, that's when you know you're doing well. Same thing to the right, your daily net cumulative P&L. You'll see in real time exactly how you're doing as a trader. If you notice you're going up and down, maybe time to reevaluate your strategy and find something with a little bit more consistency. Now, as we scroll down the page, this is your profit and loss calendar. This will show you every single day how much you either made or lost. If your profit and loss calendar is just red, green, you know you need to be a little more consistent, reevaluate your strategy, things like that. Now, we could go over this stat
every
page
day in the market the last 3 weeks.
Yep. Now, we could go through the stat page all day, but take a look at the stat page on your own. If you have any questions, please let us know. Now, the next one.
Can I just say one thing, Justin, real quick
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
the calendar?
Mhm.
This is such an awesome concept because as a trader, you want to be able to go back quickly and review your history to see what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And a lot of times when we download our trade journal or where we're filling things out over time, we lose the context on what was happening that day. Whereas right now you can go back, Wednesday the 25th, what was happening that day? I took a big yellow when the market went up big green. Well, that can give context to understanding what you're doing in your trade history. I love the concept. I think it's a great concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to see it in, not day, 1 day at a time. You can see 30 days at a time. It's really nice to see. Now, for our BluSky traders, this next section, rewards on the left, you guys are going to love this. BluSky will be implementing a reward system. As you can see right here, you get points by completing certain tasks. Like, for example, follow us on Instagram, join our Discord, all these things, and your points will add up. And you can redeem these points for evaluations, resets, things like that. So you accumulate enough points, you get free stuff. And I don't know, as a trader, I love free stuff. I don't know about you guys.
Who doesn't
free
love
stuff?
free?
We're paying.
Right?
Free best.
Yeah. And then once you accumulate these, right? And then once you accumulate these points, you click the rewards, and that's where you'll see what you can get with these certain amount of points. So I think that's great that BluSky is going to start rewarding our traders.
Justin, you need to upload your screenshots though, brother.
I do. I need to do all of this actually. So the next one, if you go to the left, we have an offers page. Currently, there's no offers available, but we will do these little flash sales and drop certain things at random times. So make sure you keep looking at this page because maybe you'll have a free reset. Maybe you'll have a free evaluation. I don't know. Maybe you'll get free merch. There's tons of different things that will be uploaded there. And for those of you that have communities or things like that, this is the affiliate center. You can see all your commissions, payouts, everything in real time and have your links and your referral IDs very easily. So if you are an affiliate and you do have a lot of friends that like to trade, you're already signed up immediately. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is share your link. Now the next section.
Before we move on, I hate to stop you when you're doing so well. All I'm saying is if you do have one of those Discord communities, you have a trading community and you want to be a part of this program, hit up Justin. Justin can help you out, get everything set up.
Great point. I'm also the point of contact for all of our affiliates. So I know this program like the back of my hand. If you have any questions, you need help getting set up, or you want me to come talk in your community, more than willing to come in. Now, this part, if you guys are not using this learning center, I don't know what you're doing in this Discord or trading with us, but you can find everything that is basically recorded by BluSky will be uploaded here eventually. All of our podcasts, all of Matt's labs, all of Becky's labs, anything Rizz does on the educational side, this will be sitting in here for you to review on demand. So whether it's our YouTube videos, this will be your section where you're just going to see everything that you need to know about trading. And if you don't know how to trade, you better be starting here. Now, this tool section, this is if you really, really want to get into the market. You can look at all the tickers, what the market has done for the day. We even have the economic calendar right here. You don't have to go anywhere else. You shouldn't have to leave this dashboard to do anything trading wise. You can even pull up your trading view chart. That's how nice all this is. You got headlines. You want to know how much to size? Use this lot size calendar to track your drawdown, your profit target, your weekly targets, things like that. Mess around with this. If you have any questions, again, let us know. More than willing to help. Now, there's only a couple more sections left. The utilities one is going to be important for you as a trader. This is where you can view your subscriptions, and this is where you can cancel. You can go ahead and click on that. I don't mind hiding mine. I've only had a couple accounts. Oh, maybe you can't. But this is where you'll be able to click your subscriptions. You know, if you want to start a new challenge and you don't want your current subscription to rebuild, this is where you'll be able to cancel it, see when it's going to renew, things like that. It's very important to keep track of these things so you don't get hit with 10 accounts rebuilding at once. You can stagger them, things like that. And that is basically an overview of the dashboard. The rest of it is just some frequently asked questions and a link to our website. And the bottom page, do not click it, Matt, but that's where you're going to enter your billing information, things like that. And that's basically it. A quick rundown. Again, you have any questions, ask during the stream, ask in the Discord. We know this thing like the back of our hand, and we'll be willing to help us out. Now, since we've done this, since you guys are coaches, I know you guys are journaling nerds. What do you think one of the most important thing for you specifically as a trader yourself would be in this dashboard to look at? Matt, let's just start with you.
There's a lot in the My Stats page, and that's the one that I like the most, honestly. I'm a data-driven guy. I always have been, always will be. We all have our opinions, but those opinions get solidified through data, and so I just love the data. I love the My Stats page. Every trader needs a good dashboard. There's no doubt about that. A place where you can basically have everything you need to review what you're doing, kind of what you need. You need that home base. You know what I mean? And that's what this dashboard is. It's the home base to BluSky. And so I just really like the My Stats page. I think it's well designed. I love this edge score. I think that the visual of the edge score versus the profit factor, win percentage, average win loss, I think that is absolutely fantastic. I love the visuals there. So I would say what stands out to me is the My Stats page, just because I'm such a data guy and I love the visuals and kind of how everything is just kind of positioned here very quickly to understand what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, is there a flaw, if everything's just great, let's continue to rock.
Exactly.
The use of it, the visual. So I would say My Stats, but there's a lot about this dashboard that I really, really like, and I know we've had some issues rolling it out, but it looks good, it looks great, and I'm excited for the traders to get to know it and use it.
Yeah, and shout out to the tech team and customer service for identifying any issues and dealing with them. If something happened overnight at 3 a.m, that thing was done by 5 a.m, and the issue was fixed, ready to go.
I also love Coach Becky Center as well.
The learning centers. Yeah, our faces are all over that thing.
Especially once we get like the labs and everything up there. I think it's going to be really, really cool too. Yeah.
Coach Becky, I know you journal a lot as well, and you're big on the psychology side. What stands out to you about the dashboard?
I love the holistic, all of it, honestly. I think that BluSky did a really nice job in pulling in multiple things. I think that a lot of companies have some element of their program as good, right? What I love about this one is everything is on one page. You can have your stats and learning center and access to resources, and the rewards is so cool. You can see your certificates, everything is in one place. There's just a nice tally bar of the contents that you can access. It makes it really easy. You can see where things are. It's logical, it's labeled well. But I have to echo what Matt said about My Stats and My Data page, because I have spoke to that many times in all manner of psychological conversations, because I think that that's so valuable. It's you versus you as a trader. You need to know where you're excelling and where your struggle points are, and having that data in your face and pointing you to the direction where you could make improvements is literally the work that we're in. The business of trading is figuring out where we're excelling, lean into that. Where you're struggling, figure out how you can cut your risk on that day. Like the daily calendar is super helpful with that. If you find that every single Monday you're red, like maybe reevaluate that. Are you sleeping well Sunday night? What is the opening bell on Monday? Are you kind of misaligned with what happens on the Sunday open into Monday? Is there something you can target there to change? So I think that just really lean into this, you guys. Check it out, play with it, because it's so many resources roped into one. But I think the fact that it's personalized to you, your trades is what fills this out. So lean into figuring out what jumps out at you and what you can target for improvement. And then on your killer days, how can you, excel at those and continue pushing those? So make it your own.
What's great? What's great is you brought up the day-by-day calendar. And I just had this conversation with Rizz where I was using this dashboard and I noticed my Monday mornings were the worst day by far. So rather than try to fix it, I just stay away from Monday mornings. Maybe I'm just not ready for the week. So that's such a great point. And Rizz, what do you think? Was there anything that stands out to you?
I love the fact that now, even if you've passed or fail an eval or an account, that historical trade data stays there. And I don't know any other platform that offers it exactly like that. So, I think that's a real like advantage for traders, because a lot of traders are struggling with journaling and taking notes and documenting their historical trade data. And now with the tool automatically doing that and not erasing your old account history, it means that you still have that historical data that you can peer into and find where your strengths and your weaknesses lie.
Love that. And I got to agree with Coach Matt. Out of everything, I think I picked the My Stats page, and specifically because you can't lie to yourself when you look at the My Stats page. I know me, I used to think I took 3 trades a day, and then I'd look at this thing that says number of trades taken, a lot more than 3. Let's just say that. So it's very hard to lie to yourself, and it just shouts out to you the problems you're having. If you think you're doing something and the stats page says you're not, the stats page is right. You aren't. So again, this dashboard is absolutely critical. And before we move on, is there anything anybody wants to add about it?
No, just very excited for the traders of BluSky to get their hands on this thing and get to know it and make it a part of their routine. I think it's going to be very, very, very helpful for a lot of traders of BluSky.
Yeah, and at BluSky, we're just trying to give you guys the tools, as many tools as possible to help you succeed. Because if you succeed, we succeed. We all succeed. Now that we wrapped up the fun part of just showing you guys some technical stuff on the dashboard, let's move on to actual trading. What's going to affect the market this week? Things like that. This is a segment of the podcast called Market Skycast. We're going to go over the geopolitical climate, the economic data, and any earnings or anything that might affect you as a trader. So this is something you need to really focus on. You need to know what's happening in the market, news events, things like that. Now, let's go ahead and start with you, Coach Matt. What are you looking at going into the week? Are you looking at earnings? I know we're all looking at the conflict, but on top of that, what are we looking at?
Well, I think we'll all answer the exact same way on the geopolitical side of the equation. The oil, as long as oil is the entire oxygen of the room for the market, that's going to be the most important data point. Rizz is right. I agree with him in the first segment. I certainly agree with him here today. So with that said and that out of the way, there are some very other important data points coming out in the market this week. For example, this might be the quietest Fed week I've ever seen in my life. Like, I have been hunting Fed week for 20 years. I'm a Fed whisperer. I've never seen an environment where nobody was talking about the Fed in Fed week. And yet here we are. And some of that is obviously the Iranian war and oil and everything that is going on with the macro side of the equation. But quietly, we are here in one of Jay Powell's last Fed meetings. I think this is his second to last. I'd have to check my stats on that. But we're in one of Jay Powell's last Fed meetings, and nobody here is talking in any capacity about the Fed this week. And obviously for the Iranian situation, but also there's not a lot of anticipation for what the Fed is going to do this week. The Fed fund rate right now is 3.75. There's a very, 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 very high probability that we continue to be at 3.75 by the end of the week. But even though there's not a lot of expectations for the Fed, I'm very, very interested in what Jay Powell has to say about the inflationary environment, the path of policy, Because when you're looking at the dual mandate, labor versus inflation, that's the entire conversation right now. And oftentimes, one area of the mandate is obviously flawed. And so the Fed is focusing on that one area. Today, it's not just one area flawed. We have concern on labor. AI is certainly having a bigger impact on the labor environment than what the Fed anticipated. Now we're 3 months down the road here. Are they going to have any updates on the labor side of the equation? We've seen recent data on labor suggest we're seeing weakness in the overall labor environment. But to offset that, we're also seeing elevated inflationary expectations. PCE report was elevated last week. CPI report was elevated last week. PPI report most likely going to be elevated this week, and that's before we see that inputs on what crude oil is going to do. So does Jay Powell, and this is kind of the general market assumption right now, is that Jay Powell's looking to have that first cut this year, and it will be after Jay Powell, but is somewhere in September, October of this year. Are they more concerned of labor? Are they more concerned of the inflationary side of the equation? And how does crude oil impact the path of policy? All of these are extremely important questions going into the Fed week. So even though there's not going to be a lot of anticipation for what the Fed's going to do this week, there is going to be very important data coming out to help us understand the path of policy, which is part of the problem right now in the market. When the market has dark clouds from a geopolitical, has a hard time getting up and going, it also has that difficult time in the face of a Fed that doesn't seemingly have a good concept of where they're going to start adjusting policy. And so I fully expect Powell to paint both sides of the equation this week. I fully expect Powell to wear a purple tie, and I fully expect him to have some commentary on oil and how oil is impacting the overall inflationary environment and thus the general policy environment as well.
You knew I was going to ask about that tie, so you got it out there before I could even could.
Purple again.
But I got to agree with you. This is one of the few times the Fed's taken a back seat to everything else, and it's kind of weird because we're starting to get close where people are expecting rate cuts, and you know what? There's a lot more important things going on. So great points, Coach Rizz. I know there's a lot going on. What is on your mind this week going into the trading week?
It's an interesting week. It's a triple threat. Going on with the market right now is really what we're seeing. We've got tech. We've got most of the tech stocks riding along the 200 SMA for support. So it's kind of like a make it or break it. So you got that. We've got FOMC scheduled. So we've got news on if we're going to get a rate cut, which might possibly be in the cards. So, there's that. Then we also have Micron earnings and AI sentiment happening on Wednesday evening. And obviously right below that, you've got the geopolitical headlines that are just kind of just all around. We're knee deep in it. It is a very, it's a busy week. There's a lot at stake on the table right there, and a lot of things that could move the market one way or the other. So, I think FOMC is going to be important to me early in the day. And then, I'll be obviously looking at Micron and the AI stocks to see, how they handle whatever news is given to us. Most likely, I think a rate cut should be coming, but we'll see.
Great points. I mean, it's a, like you said, triple threat. It's a mix of everything. You can't just focus on one thing. It has to be everything. All right, what you got, Matt?
Can I just jump in really quickly on that?
Yeah, of course.
Go to Becky. I'm sorry, Becky.
No problem.
Just wanted to go off for his comment on the AI side of the equation, because you also have ACN this week, which is a big time AI name. And you have the NVIDIA GTC conference on Monday through Wednesday, which is going to have lots of announcements coming out regarding the AI trade. The AI trade has been a problem in the market for 5-6 months. It's been a problem in the market. Can the GTC conference, can Micron, which is an epicenter of AI, can ACN, can they propel something? I think is an important question this week as well.
Yeah, so if you're an NQ trader, you got to keep an eye on this because there could be some volatile swings just off a random headline.
GTC conference.
That's a great point. And last but not least, Coach Becky, what's most important to you going into this trading week?
I totally have to echo what the guy said because it's very true. I mean, it's very multifaceted what's going on right now. There's a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to keep your eyes on and ears to ground on. But I do think that we have seen transition in the last year or two that the Forex calendar has less of an impact than the broader world and the geopolitical climate. And that has been a transition that has been slow but steady. And coming into this FOMC week, I am not surprised either that it seems to be a backseat information source and commentary item everywhere. And when you're talking about the markets, because it used to be so exciting, FOMC is coming and everyone's ready, like gear in, think about what your Monday and Tuesday are going to look like ahead of Wednesday because this is the week. And now like it's just not even mentioned. And we're talking about it today because we're trying to look at the whole picture of the week, but it's a factor that you need to think about things differently, because that volatility that we used to get from an FOMC spike can happen at any given 9:37 in the morning. And so watch your back. But I do think that FOMC is forever going to be something that causes some, extra energy, extra volatility. And so bearing that in mind, I do like that the Forex calendar did add that the extra element that at half an hour into the Fed run rate hitting, that they're announcing that the press conference hits there, because I do like that there is separate volatility moments right at the 11 a.m. Pacific Standard is my time zone. But right when that Fed run rate hits is a volatility spike, but then also when the press conference hit, there is more volatility then. So I think that I like that they delineated that on the calendar. So bear that in mind on Wednesday. But honestly, there's just so many cards at play right now that for me, I just want to kind of stay current and stay calm and stay patient and stay flexible, because you can't anticipate what's going on right now. We are in support, but support has broken. And so it's like always saying, what would a bullish scenario look like? And what would a bearish scenario look like? Watch the levels, draw your levels, set alerts, and just be open to receive anything, because I think that that is the world that we're living in now, that you can predict based on patterns and it can be blown out of the water. And I think that that's where we need to always be just super cautious right now in our trading.
I think that was a great word. Keyword flexible. Flexible. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, I just got a question for Becky on the FOMC here. So there's three environments on FOMC day. You have the policy statement, which lasts about 30 minutes. Then you have the press conference that lasts about 30 minutes, and then you have the overnight session, which usually sees a trend develop in some capacity, right?
Mhm.
What is your favorite? Same question for Rizz and Justin as well. What's your favorite part of trading Fed? Is it the policy statement itself? Is it the press conference, or is it the overnight session later that day?
For me, it's a press conference. It's the first half an hour. I don't prefer that movement anymore. I feel like it's a little bit too highly manipulated, and really we get into the meat of the information in the press conference. And so for me, I like the moves there. We get the secondary pattern off of the first push, and then I like to see how my levels react in the first 5 to 10 minutes of that press conference, and that's where I tend to find my best trading opportunities. So that's it for me. But then I also do appreciate the aftermarkets. I think we can get a lot of tells as to what it's going to do as market is closing that day, which could be an opportunity for a trade setup that could be potentially, over a few days at a minimum. So that's for me. It's like, 35 minutes in is my fave, where I'm really paying close attention.
I got to be right there with you. I have my degenerate playbook, and then I have my normal playbook. My degenerate playbook is to put stop buys and stop sells at support and resistance. And if they break, they break. That's fun. That's for evaluations, but that's the degenerate
lottery
playbook.
ticket over there.
Yeah, a little lottery ticket. Now, I will say that playbook did not work That playbook did not work last FOMC, because it was one of the most, I think we even talked about it, was one of those boring FOMCs we've seen in a long time. So keep that in your mind as well. But the proper playbook is, I like to wait till about 2:45 Eastern. Once Powell says hello, once you see what color tie he wears, then we start to catch a trend maybe into close. And I love the Asian session the following evening, because I feel like that's where you find out what the actual move is going to happen. If a bottom's found, if a top's found, or if we're actually going to catch a trend.
Yeah.
Right.
Rizz.
Yes, sir.
FOMC. What do you love trading around the FOMC? Is it the policy statement, the press conference, or the overnight session?
I like the policy statement, because that's where you see the real expansion. That's the coup de grace the trade. If you're looking for the trade that can go for the gusto, find a contract out the money and just nail it, that's what you want to be looking for. So me, I want risk and I want that high reward.
I want to see Rizz buy a contract for $10 and have that thing turned into 300 at the end of it.
He
Oh,
does like
I
doing
will.
that.
I
He
will.
does like doing that.
He's
And
like,
what about
"Yup."
you, Matt? I know you're a little more of a swing trader. Are you trying to catch the start of a swing, or are you trying to already be in a play when
No,
it's
not on
FOMC comes out,
FOMC
or-
day. There's too
Yeah.
much whipsaw to catch swings on FOMC day, but and I'm not looking to swing trade right now very much at all. The environment. You want to hear day traders complain about chop? Listen to swing traders complain about a bearish trend per minute. Like,
Yeah.
so swing traders for months have been complaining about the same concepts that day traders have been complaining about for the last couple weeks. So no, I don't feel it's a great swing trading environment. And on Fed day, I'm definitely looking to day trade the overnight session. Like, I don't touch anything in the initial saga of the policy statement. I'm right there with Becky. I like to see the initial move the initial move stick, and then I like to see secondary patterns, which typically happen in front of the press conference. And then once Powell gives that first answer on that first major question, usually you see the market pick a direction a little bit. But I'm kind of with you on the ultimate. The Asian session during Fed day is always something I'd like to be around.
More consistent.
Yeah, agreed.
Well,
that was a great question, Matt.
The market has had enough time to figure out if they love or hate the Fed at that point. And
Mm-hmm.
so they typically have a tendency to be a little bit more consistent. Because I'm not trying to catch a trade there. I'm not trying just to catch a scalp between levels. I'm trying to catch a trend. And so that to me takes a little bit of time to really kind of digest. So I'd like the Asian session, kind of like you on that. But press conference starts, the Asian session continues.
Yeah, that was a great follow-up question, because it's always good to hear people's strategies. Like, how did I know Rizz was going to say he wants that initial policy statement play? How did I know that? I knew Becky was going to say that. I knew Becky was going to say wait 45 minutes, and I almost knew you were going to say I don't do anything. So I love that. But it's great to hear.
Well,
Now
I love the coaches of BluSky though. You got Rizz who's going to scalp the policy statement. You got Becky who's going to come in after that, and then there's me like, well, I need my consistency on multiple time frames. Let's go. Now I got it.
It's a form of participation.
Little Goldilocks.
Variety, agree.
Goldilocks coaching action there, just right. Too hot and too cold. That's how we'd like to get down.
Exactly. Everybody has their own opinion, and everybody has an option to follow. Now, that's great. That was a great discussion on our Market Skycast session. To end the podcast, we're going to go into my favorite segment, and it's called Coach's Corner. These are some real questions from real BluSky traders for our coaches. Now, these are for some newer traders, which I love because, once again, I had all of these same questions. So let's just get right into it. And let's start with you, Coach Rizz. How do you know when to hold a trade longer versus taking profits early? I know a lot of newer traders struggle with this, so I would love to hear what you have to say.
You know, I've actually had a few traders talk to me about that yesterday. We were specifically talking about it because, you know, some folks were telling me to get out of a trade. We were in, I believe, 2 or 3 MNQ cons. We're up like $1,000. And I had a few traders telling me to step out of the trade, you know, take profit, peel one out. And, you know, for me, it's always about the trend. And unfortunately, with the trend, it's a matter of feel and how you're looking at the market and how you're analyzing it and what you're doing in the trade itself. So like me, I will go down to like the sub time frames. You know, I'll go into like the 15 and the 30 second, and I want to see what we start doing. If I see that there's like a general area of resistance across in those sub time frames, that to me means that we're running into a wall, and buyers, if we're in a long position, are probably getting exhausted. You know, so that's really normally what it is for me. Is I'm looking at the sub time frames. I start looking at my 15, my higher time frames to see, are we at a 4-hour support resistance? You know, so I start leaning on my confluences and other outside variables that can give me, you know, an indication. Should I get out of this? You know, if we've been stuck at the top of the range for, you know, more than 20, 30 minutes and we haven't made any movement, that really tells me that it's time to get out of the trade, because then it becomes more probable that price is going to come back on you rather than continue forward, because that means that momentum has also died down. So, you know, again, that's probably more my experience in the market, and every trader is a little bit different on that. So, you know, that's where paper trading and, you know, seat time starts really, you know, playing in. The other thing I like to do is I like to look at where I'm at in the day. How green am I? Is this my only green trade that's going to make me green and make up for my last losses? I will manage that trade differently, because at that point, it's really the focus is getting green and becoming positive. And if I've hit that, then I'm reassessing on whether I should be taking profit, to avoid going back to being red.
That's a great point. I love how you brought up multiple time frames, because price action is fractal. We might be bullish as hell on the 3-minute, but then we come into a 4-hour zone, like you're saying, and you know how hard it is going to be to break through that. So maybe that's where you see if we're going to break out. If we start stalling, like you said, take that money or de-risk, protect yourself. Don't let it go red. That's a great point. All your answers were great. I absolutely love that. Now, let's move on to our next question. This is going to be for you, Coach Matt, because you specifically like to swing trade, and I know the opportunities don't present themselves as much as maybe some intraday trading. How do you deal with the feeling of missing a big move after you already took profit? Say you're in a swing and it goes for 2 weeks, because you might not get the opportunity to get in again.
I got 14,000 different examples of that. The market will teach you patience better than absolutely anything else in context. So how do I deal with it? It's another day that ends in Y. Move on. You made money. Go find the next trade and stop complaining. My goodness.
Yeah, and I think that's such a hard thing for newer traders to do.
Sorry for being so direct on that, but
thank you.
As a trader's done that a lot. Like, I remember selling out of Tesla at $38 for crying out loud. You want to talk about cutting off a gain? Sell Bitcoin at 2K before the futures open back in 2018, 2019. You want to talk, like, I got a ton of examples of that. You can't live in regret about the what ifs of the world. You didn't know that was going to happen before you made the decision. You got to learn how to make decisions based on the data you have and live with that, both the positive and the consequence. And so I'm not going to sit there and go back and be like, oh my goodness, what if I would have held my Bitcoin? Oh my goodness, what if I would have Tesla? Because I did that on other things. You're not going to get them all. You're not going to get everything right. You're not. So I don't waste a second of my breath thinking about the regret of not holding a trade longer. When I went into that Tesla trade, it was a trade and not an investment. I had the trade planned. I traded the plane to perfection. I got my gain and I closed out. 2K was a target for me on Bitcoin. I was not a holder believer. I was a trader. I was position trading. I got my target. I got out. End of story. And so I'm not going to sit there and have massive regret over spilled milk that I cannot otherwise control. Did I make a mistake? I need to go back and review that and correct my rules. But in terms of, how do I handle it? I laugh it off and I go find a new trade.
I think some of the best things to do is just laugh it off, because oh well, it happens. And I love that you said you had your plan, you executed your plan, and that's it. We have a saying we like to say: go touch grass. Whether you won, you lost, go touch grass, get off the charts. Yeah, and now this leads me into my next question.
Context is very important on all of that, but like don't allow missed opportunity to dictate your actions. You miss opportunity in the financial world every second of every day. There's more opportunity that you don't even know exist that you missed. You saw an opportunity, you took advantage of it, you made some money. Did you maximize your return? Did you minimize your risk? Let's have that evaluation. Let's have that conversation. But don't play the game of, I bought this asset one time and I should have held it longer because look what eventually transpired with it. I'm sorry, we're all geniuses with 20/20 eyesight looking at the past. You got to make decisions in the moment. And so as long as you're making those decisions in the moment and they're based on the plan that you had set out going into the trade, you're good to go. Now, if you didn't have a plan and you cut your gains short because you didn't have a plan, had nothing to do with you getting out of the trade. The mistake you made was you didn't have the plan going into the trade.
1,000%. And now this leads me into Becky's next question, and this is kind of personal for you based on you just went on vacation. Do you ever skip days completely, even if the market is open? And why or why not?
Yeah. So I've have to echo what Matt said. I feel like you are showing your stamina and your longevity in the trading game, because fighting FOMO is harder when you're new. Like these questions from new traders, like I get it, man. You like get in and you get in at the top and you take a short and you take like 10 points and then it falls another 60. Like, oh, that sting is so real. So I love to see how you can learn to change your mindset like Matt has done. Like this is something that he spent, years like getting over it. Like you said, you laughed initially, Matt, because it's like this has happened a million times.
Oh, I've yelled at a few charts before, guys. Like, I'm to blame there too.
So everyone who's feeling that FOMO and that squeeze of like regret, let it go. And like every time you just bury it and you say thank you for the profits you got, and maybe figure out how you can refine your trade system to make it better and hold the trades longer. Like that will make you better over time. But you have to just experience the sting and be like, well, that's that. Like, how can I get better over time? It just smooths out over time. I think that. Anyway, back to my. I absolutely believe in taking breaks, because I think that we have to have balance as traders. I think for our mindset and our nervous system and our ability to put risk on, you need to be able to balance your whole life. And so everyone's different. If you have kids, if you don't have kids, if you have a partner, if you have a side gig, I think that we all have something, at least one thing in our lives that is fulfilling other than trading. And so to be able to have your nervous system kind of ramp up and be able to hold the risk of putting on a day trade and risking, hundreds to thousands of dollars and your accounts, that is a little bit of added pressure that is not present in most careers, most life choices, most business choices. And there's a moment when you're putting a trade on and you're accepting a risk and it's starting to move, that your stomach clenches and that your heart rate races, and you have to combat that nervous system acceleration. And it's just healthy overall to have a long-term career in this game, to balance that out, to have moments where you do have a little bit of higher stress and you're putting a risk on, and then to be able to bring yourself way the heck down and do a hobby or go out with a friend and take a day off. And so for me, that's very, very valuable. I have a cold right now. I'm coming off of a trip. My kids are still a little out of whack. My kid got an ear infection. And then we were doing this podcast live today. So I just decided to take NyQuil last night and sleep as fast as I could and then prep for this video. So I actually didn't trade at all myself this morning because other priorities took precedence. And so I think that actually makes me a stronger trader, because I'm valuing, if I'm not at my peak performance, then I shouldn't perform a peak performance activity such as day trading. If the conditions are not set, that my routine is established and I can wake up and do my normal healthy pre-market routine, that's not a day to trade. And so I absolutely love this question, and I support everyone taking breaks to keep your life and your nervous system and your psychology balanced. That's a healthy part of being a trader.
Amazing answer. I just want to piggyback on that. I don't know about you guys, but one of the main reasons I got into day trading specifically was for the freedom to not trade, the freedom to go on vacation, the freedom to do things. So if you're just going to be a slave to the chart every day, you don't have the freedom. And what's the point of doing something where you can have the freedom if you don't use it? So I absolutely love that answer. And now I have a treat for you guys that have been watching this the whole time and you haven't left. Only the people that are going to be seeing this live or very shortly after are going to get this. I got a sale for you. Use the code GOLD, $30 off any evaluation, so you can grab a 50K eval for $30. That's a treat for you guys for sitting here, watching us blab, watching us pilot this episode. We want to reward you. We want to pack this room. So again, code GOLD, $30 off. And that is good till tomorrow. So if you're going to buy an evaluation today, make sure go ahead and use that. Now, before we go ahead and drop off, any of you coaches have anything you want to add before we call it a day?
No, I've really enjoyed the live podcast. Looking forward to doing another one next Monday. And we're going to be doing this in our YouTube channel every single Monday. We'll be breaking down the podcast and doing it live. And so either join us in the BluSky Discord, which we have quite a few of our team members there, or join us in YouTube. But love the pod, love the coaches, and so happy we had a chance to do this today.
Yeah, and guys, keep an eye out. We're switching around the streaming schedule a little bit to benefit you guys. A little bit more entertainment, a little bit more double coaches at the same time. So we're kind of piloting this week. If you have any feedback, let us know. But until then, as always, stay profitable, guys.
Yes. And, before we pop off, I just have to say that you guys, there's a lot of opportunities out there for who you trade with. And I have to give a nod to BluSky. I feel like they really show up for the traders. Like this dashboard improvement impressive, to say the
Oh, yeah.
least. Like, there's so much opportunity within there, and took a few weeks to roll out and get the kinks out, as with anything technologically driven does. But I'm so impressed continuously by BluSky, by the energy behind the management and the way that they're providing more access to traders, more information, more data, more stats, more coaching, more labs, more education, like more content intraday, and just the consistency with the rules and always being on the side of the traders. I'm just really, really glad to be here with you all and impressed continuously. So thanks for being here with us. And I'm glad that we all get to benefit from that company. I'm Team BluSky, and I'm really thankful you guys hung out with us live. Tell everybody that we're going to do this every Monday.